All right, welcome everybody to the Tuesday, February 3rd Board of Education regular business meeting. May I please have a motion to call the business meeting to order? So moved, Jeff. Second, Michele. All in favor? Aye. And may I please have a motion to move into executive session for the purpose of discussing the mid-year evaluation for the superintendent? So moved, Michele. Second, Carole. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. We'll be back at 5. All right, welcome back, everybody. Can I have a motion, please, to move out of executive session and back into public session, please? So move Michele, second Linda. All in favor? Aye. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and a motion to approve tonight's agenda, please. So move Linda, second Carole. All in favor? Aye. All right, our liaisons. We should keep track. Yeah, we should keep track. Or whatever, it doesn't matter.
For the year.
I like that.
I feel like I'm always on that side.
I know.
Okay, I'm jingling.
All right.
Oh,
That means I go first. Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. It feels like it really feels like I was just here. I don't have that much to report on, especially because we've had so many snow days that not much has happened. Well, it wasn't even like the snow days. Like, we also had a lot of days off, so it was just barely any school. That felt longer than winter break. But I'm super glad to have Gia here today. I know you guys have already seen her present before, and she's great, and she has a little bit to report today as well. But the Space Club hosted a special guest who worked at NASA. He also worked with the famous Hubble telescope, which was so nice to have somebody there that has worked with such an amazing machine. He provided an astronomy lesson to several students and teachers and parents that wanted to come. Unfortunately, even though I could tell you everything he taught us about, I do not know his name. But also, Webster Thomas's BBSU began their annual Black Bingo event in honor of Black History Month. This has been a great way to educate students on African American accomplishments and scholars. Each day, a different person pops up on the morning announcement, and there's a brief summary that the morning news reporters share about that person's accomplishments. Last Friday was RIT's art show opening and award ceremony, so shout out to the Thomas Jr. Alyssa B., who was awarded a School of Design 3D Digital Design Award for her piece. Yes, and now to Gia.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Gia, and I would just like to say thank you so much for welcoming me onto this position that I'm in training for. Naya has been great in helping me with that, and I just can't wait to work with her to help share some of the amazing things going on around Thomas. So as Naya mentioned, Webster schools have been having a pretty snowy month, so not too many updates this time. However, I do have some good news from last weekend where our Thomas Science Olympiad team traveled to Brockport to compete in the regional finals competitions. Students participated in a variety of events like anatomy and physiology, ecology, and even building events like helicopter and machine vehicles. Special shout out to many of the students who won in their event, like Adam Carlin in chemistry, Avery Verdine and I won in forensics, and Nina Fritz in helicopter, and Matilda Vasquez in water quality. And additionally, this weekend, the Webster Thomas Masterminds Trivia Club will be visiting SOTA for another regional rotation to compete. I think that's Wednesday. And then finally, the Webster Thomas Speech and Debate team will be competing in their state qualifier tournament in various speech and argument events, and I will be in both the Masterminds and the Speech and Debate, so I can't wait to come back and share how those went. So we're wishing luck to those teams going for those. Yeah.
She's already
All right. Hello, everyone. I also don't have too many updates tonight just because all the snow days, but very thankful for them and all the days off. Yes, we need more. But I wanted to start off by giving an update on January because at the end of the month we did have a few fun events going on. So Warriors Day was a huge success. The 8th graders seemed a little nervous at first, but as the day went on and they started learning about like the high school and their new opportunities, they got a lot more excited for the future. And then our seniors had their senior lock-in, where they were at school from 10:30 p.m. to 4 in the morning, and they played a lot of fun games like euchre, laser tag, there was silent disco, and then ping pong. So I'm very excited for next year when I get to participate in that. And then now getting on to February things, this week is very busy for students here at Schrader because our drama production is this weekend. We are performing on the town, and the live pit members, stage crew, and obviously the performers have been working super hard and have had a lot of long rehearsals because of the complexity and length of the show. I'm going Saturday night, which is their closing show, and I'm very excited because I have a bunch of friends performing, and all the shows turn out like so good. So I feel like this one's also going to be really good. And then championship season for our winter sports is coming up. Our wrestling team had team states this past weekend where they did really good. I think they won or got close to winning.
They did a great job. They got all the way to the semifinals.
Okay,
Yep.
so they did really good. And then our track team has divisionals this Friday, and our hockey team is still undefeated. We beat Thomas in January, so we're still undefeated. Yep.
Maybe
And
a
then-
few more snow days will make them better.
And then finally, our staff have the Super Bowl, where a bunch of them get to bring in soup and bring it to school in a crock pot. And then all the other staff get to taste test and vote which soup is the best. And whoever wins gets like a golden spoon. So that's really fun. I'm not exactly sure who won last year, but I know it's going to be pretty competitive. So yeah, that's everything.
That's great.
The Super Bowl, it's this Friday on the balcony of Schrader.
On the balcony.
Someone in the audience might be able to help us out with that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming. He'll be coming up in a few minutes. He'll report out.
Awesome.
Thank you guys very much. No more snow days, by the way.
I expected that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great to see you, Gia.
I was
I
going
know
to
it.
say, never
I know
say
it.
never, right? It's February.
I know, that's true. That's why we put those down.
Smart.
Thank you for the snow days. Never get old. It's always fun to go outside and play. Just put this over here. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Joni, how are you?
All right. We were just here 3 weeks ago, so our reports are different for this month, as you guys know, but it's great to be here. Our Battle of the Books are going on at the elementary buildings, and I can't wait to see, because each one of them brings such a uniqueness. Can't wait to see the pages that were read. I do understand on the snow days, there were books read at home and in
Very good.
igloos.
Thank you. That makes me
Yes,
feel
yes,
better.
they were. And different things that were going on with the pages and across the 7 elementary schools. Our resources at the middle schools. Yesterday, they have forged with the community agencies on one of those snow days. Was supposed to be one of our meetings, but it happened this past Monday, yesterday, and it went from 2 and 3 people at the table, and now there's over 13 to 15 people were there yesterday, sharing ideas, sharing resources, seeing what things are available for all our students, as well as keeping those Google Classrooms and library resources available, highlighting each of the month's resources and making sure our toolboxes are up to date, and really cool feedback coming back and forth as we collaborate through those. Our high schools, wow. We were able to do, some of our testing was different this January, and with our ELA being in January for our entire district, and then coming and sitting in this room, being all set up to just actually grade thousands of essays, because each one of them gets graded twice. and being able to sit and collaborate and mark and go through. It was a neat experience to be part of, to experience, to have people who have been grading for 20 years and have people who have been grading for their first year. So it was neat that all those results came in, and that Friday afternoon, the things that were shared and the smiles that were had and the phone calls that were made were well worth it. Our officer reports. Our new professional development master teacher is Dan Crowley. He is added to a list of 10 active master teachers throughout the Webster School District, as well as dozens that have already been through the program the 4 or 5 years. So we just continue to add and stay very active in that New York State program. Our PTSA, our CAD is here. April is going to be our Community Arts Day, and it is incredible the different pieces that are coming out. The part of getting the community involved and the arts, but it takes on so many different avenues. So we are encouraging all our districts, all our district schools to be partnered with that PTSA, continue that strong relationship, and volunteer, whether it's bringing in goods, helping students write poems, having students write their own poems, short stories that will be featured, as well as the arts and the community coming together. Our polar plunge.
All right.
Becky is not one of the plungers this year. But if Craig Johnville has his way, I just can't word it any better than that man. We ended up funding 25 Special Olympians and their parents, their caregivers, entries fees, lodging, competition meals for the ensuing year. Each year, that continues to go up. Thank you for your support, and now we are officially on the back of the sweatshirt as well
Oh, that's
for
great.
years to come. Our thank yous, they take a little different of an angle today. One of the WTA members called me and said, "Joni, you have a few minutes?" He received an email from a student who taught a lesson that he taught. And he goes, "I just want you to know I taught this, and I want your input." Another teacher reached out and wanted to help students make their voices heard. And they did it, and they were like, "Yes, I'm being active, I'm calling, doing the assembly, doing the government things you did." The next day, it's a previous student that took that call from that office they had called in. That student wrote an email saying, "I want to take a moment to share how impactful your teaching was and express my sincere appreciation for the opportunity to learn government. It has genuinely helped me navigate my path and the position I now hold in our community." Another thank you, it's written in French, I'm not even going to try it. Smart student, can't draw this either. But she wrote down that you are the queen of teaching, the queen of your kingdom. Thank you for making my life so much easier in the second language I have learned. This is the kingdom of our UPK program. I'm going to let Becky introduce herself.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm Becky Hughes. I teach UPK at Thomas High School, and I just wanted to take a minute or two to share with you some of the opportunities that we have and some of the ways that I'm able to collaborate with my colleagues over at the high school to present opportunities for not only our UPK students, but also for the high schoolers. We have had opportunities to collaborate with art classes, where we have gone into art classes with our pre-K students, paired them up with a high school art student, and done done a still life drawing or done a different kind of drawing that the high school students have then brought to life in a different medium. And it's just incredible to see what they can come up with and then share that again with the pre-K students who have inspired them. We have paired up with a public speaking class where the students in the public speaking class could do a read aloud with our pre-K students, just in a way to get them more comfortable with different audiences and to kind of be more comfortable in that speaking role. We're currently working with a class that's, we're going to be doing a drama production where we're pairing up our class with one of the high school classes, looking at all different kinds of, set construction and, directing and all kinds of production, and hopefully with some of our pre-K students as the leading roles, which we have been working on. So I'll make sure you all know when that is,
Yeah,
so you can come and see. I also work closely with the teacher of the child development class. The students in her class spend a lot of time in our classroom, coming in. They're working on writing lesson plans this week that they're going to be doing with our students. So just really great hands-on stuff that we're seeing from both the high schoolers and the pre-K students. One of my favorites is when one of the Spanish teachers brought her Spanish students down to sing Christmas carols in Spanish to our students. And just, our students know the tune, obviously. I think they sang Jingle Bells. Our students know the tune, and how cool that they could see that this could be sung in a different language as well. It was really just remarkable. And even just some informal opportunities where we have, as a class, we have befriended one of the art teachers, and he has been a source of support for our students. If our students, you know what I'm talking about, if our students need a break or a reward. We had a student who really just thrived with the attention from this art teacher. And so when he had a good day, he got to go down and share it with the art teacher around the corner. And it was so, so meaningful. So I just wanted to share with you some of those opportunities that we've had. That's really just a short list. There are so many more, but we are truly, truly grateful for all of the opportunities that we have at Thomas.
That's great. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I know it. And I was just kind of looking over and peeking over at the director. Our Heather Bosan was right behind us. She was smiling ear to ear every time you were talking. It was great. I loved it. It was great. So
And I will
you.
tell you, Mr. Neenan, that pre-K students do not see snow days the way that the rest of us do.
Thank
And
you.
I've heard from many parents that they were disappointed that they could not go to school
I
on those
love
snow
hearing
days.
that.
Right. So
Thank
if that
you.
helps at all.
That's great. Thank you.
And they
guys.
got over it.
I forgot about it 20 minutes
Yes,
later. That's true.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. All right, you can call them up if you want.
Yeah. One BOCES, yeah, come on up.
Come on up.
Tom, Kathy, yeah, come on up.
Welcome.
Good to be home.
Yes.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
And welcome. Welcome to Webster,
Welcome,
Cat.
yeah.
It's my pleasure this evening to introduce our new Monroe and BOCES District Superintendent, Dr. Kathy Hauber. Kathy's been with Monroe and BOCES for about 8.5, 9 years, and as our Deputy Superintendent for the past 4 years before Dan's retirement. And we were glad that she agreed to come on with us, and she's been doing a great job. And she's going to give you some updates on BOCES, but it's
Very
just
good.
great to be here and great, exciting things going on, as I can tell, from the students and their representatives from the teachers.
Great.
Thanks, Tom. Delighted to be here tonight. Tom, I have heard from many folks that he served this community and this board well for many years, and we are so happy to have him on the Monroe One board, as he's a wonderful partner to me and a wonderful advocate across the state for all of you as board members. So we really appreciate all that you do, Tom. We are also very appreciative of everything that the board members and the cabinet does to serve your community here in Webster and also to partner with us at Monroe One. Our goal tonight really is just to give you an overview and remind you of what BOCES does as an organization and your participation in our programs and services. Before I jump into that, though, I want to share with you that this is a milestone year for Monroe One BOCES, as earlier in January, we turned 70 years old. So when Monroe One was officially established on January 5th, 1956, it began with a vision shared by local school leaders to extend education opportunities to students across districts. In its first year, Monroe One operated from 2 small rooms in the old Midvale School on Baird Road. The staff of 7 people, which was made up of 3 psychologists and 4 speech teachers, served 11 districts. Student transportation was provided by taxis and volunteer drivers. 10 years later, BOCES, we actually have a picture from the 1960s of students getting out of a station wagon. It's a great picture. 10 years later, BOCES had broken ground on the O'Connor Road campus and opened the Lester B. Foreman Area Education Center, where they began really large-scale programming with training 420 students in emerging vocational fields such as auto mechanics, data processing, and food service. Today, we operate over 19 facilities across the region with 1,400 employees, and we serve over 2,000 students annually through our special ed, CTE, and itinerant programs, and a total of 138 districts that we provide supports and services to. So it's been a journey of growth over the last 70 years, and we're proud of all the organization has been able to accomplish. So as a reminder, we did put together just a 1-page infographic to remind you that Monroe One BOCES is one of 37 BOCES that operates across the state that supports over 600 school districts. We really focus in 5 major categories: instructional supports, student programs, technology services, itinerant staff, and business and purchasing. It is our mission to meet the evolving needs of our districts and to provide high-quality programs and services, but do so in an efficient and cost-effective manner. If you look at the infographic that has Webster colors on it, you can see just a high-level overview of the programs and services that Webster participates in. You have over 118 students that participate in career and technical education, 14 students who participate in our multi-ACT focus program. Last year, 250 college credits were earned by Webster students enrolled in our programs, and they participated likely in many of the 135 work and internship sites that we have available for students across the county. On the back side of the page, you'll see that in the special education realm, you have about 36 students that participate in our highly specialized special education programs. We support itinerant services in the areas of assistive technology, clinical therapies, which is like PT, OT, speech. We provide some deaf education and vision services to Webster students, and also some regional programs and services, which include high school equivalency, regional summer school, translation services, and tutoring services. In addition, we have very robust offerings on the technology side of things, and Webster currently participates in 37 out of 47 of the services provided by our Regional Information Center. So tremendous partners, and a lot of value for what Webster participates in. Are there any questions about Monroe One as an organization or Webster's participation in our programs and services?
I don't think I have a question, because we've been fortunate enough to visit and see the improvements even between the last visit and the most recent. So it's a wonderful.
We always love to host visitors, and I know Webster has recently done a tour, but we're always willing to host additional folks if anybody wants to take a walk around and lay eyes on the programs and services. One other quick thing that I want to highlight, I thought this was a pretty cool thing. Many of you know that on January 28th, it was the 40th anniversary of the Space Shuttle Challenger tragedy. One of the programs that we're so proud to offer at Monroe One is our Challenger Learning Center. And on that anniversary, Webster students participated. It was an exciting day in that there was a celebration of the individuals who gave their lives on that mission, and there was lots of media attention. So students got to not only participate in the Challenger experience, but they also were able to engage with news media. And I think one of your students was interviewed. It was either Channel 10 or Channel 13, and she did a phenomenal job. Yeah, she might be a reporter in the making.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. You guys have any
One
questions?
thing to add is, if you have the opportunity and you haven't had a chance to visit, the visit invitation is always open. We'll be able to get you in there to see some of the things that you helped build, because the students need it. As you know, Regents and the governor are looking to make sure that every student has at least one credit, one program type experience with CTE or BOCES types experiences, whether it be in the business, data processing, or IT as they call it now. And there's a lot of things there that they can take advantage of. We also know that we're always growing, and I think that's going to put pressure on us too, because of the fact that I think at the last count we had about 180 students waiting that we can't get in the program, so we just don't have the room in the programs. But it prepares a lot of kids for, students for our future life experience in advance of actually having to get out there. And there's been some tremendous stories. When I was executive director of Four County School Boards Association, my administrative assistant's son went through BOCES out there in Wayne Finger Lake's BOCES, one of ours, point of the joint management team group. And he went through BOCES, got all his certifications through BOCES, and now he's rewiring nuclear submarines. Okay, so it's just some great experiences.
Yeah.
And some kids in my own church are fantastic welders that have gone on for some great careers and are able to support a family and be able to not have sometimes the college debt that some of our students run into after going to college. So a lot of things to keep in mind that BOCES will be able to assist with. Thank you for this
Thank you
time.
both very much, and I'd also just like to add, thank you for your partnership. As Tom, as you were saying, it's always nice to come over and do the visit, like Carole was mentioning, because then we can see the new programs that you guys have added, as well as all the updates to the infrastructure that you guys have done. So thanks for being a great partner, and happy 70th birthday. That's great. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
All right, I will move us into our campus news. If I could have two of my friends come on up, Dr. Benz and Mrs. Balsamo, if you want to join me. I'm going to get started as you guys are getting your seat and getting your placard. I'll ask Mrs. Balsamo to go first. But first topic that I have.
Oh, he wanted to rock, paper, scissors. You stole his thunder.
Well, I think rock, paper, scissors as long as Heather wins, because I think Paul's got Heather queued up.
Yep. Yeah. We got
Sorry,
the
Paul,
thumbs
she just
up,
beat you.
sorry.
All right, so my first topic, snow days. It's actually true. So I actually made this as my topic, not knowing that you guys were going to be talking about that a little bit tonight, because I want to answer a question that we get often. And so the question that we get often from families, from students, and from staff is, how do we go about making the decision, and also how many days do we have? So that's a great picture using AI. That really isn't snow that it's in there. But we do get these inquiries often. So what I thought I'd do is I'd share with you tonight what looks a little bit about the process. So we understand that decision to open or close school has an impact on our families and our students, and their schedules, and our families in the community as well. Our top priority is and always will be the safety of our students and staff. When weather hits, we evaluate a variety of factors. We look at the current and projected weather. We look at road patrol reports. We contact people that are actually right there on road patrol in law enforcement, but also in our town supervising, highway department. We look at our own transportation, we communicate with them, and we also obviously look at the temperature, and believe it or not, wind actually always has sometimes a play in this as well. It's not always just a snow day. Believe it or not, we have snow days, we have cold days, we have hot days, we have ozone days. We've had a lot of different things in the past few years. They're emergency closing days. All of them are kind of fall under that umbrella. But each year, we build in snow days to our school calendar. And while New York State doesn't designate a specific number of snow days for a district to include, we strategically build in 3 or 4, given a different, it depends on the year, it depends on the calendar for that year, but we build in 3 or 4. Again, for all of those that are looking for that number, if you will. And if we go beyond the allotted days, then we will transition to remote learning. That's how that will happen for us, is if we go to and exhaust all of our snow days, the next time we have to have an emergency closing day, even if it's a hot day and it's in the middle of June, then we would do it as a remote day. And we would communicate that on the last day we use as a real snow day. So whatever our last snow day is, we will put communication out to families saying the next thing that comes along, we will make sure that people understand that it would be a remote day. So I thought I'd kind of clear that up a little bit before we begin with some of our other campus news. But I think the most important thing is that our goal truly is to keep schools open safely. Like that's my mindset on all of the decisions that we make. And I communicate with all the other superintendents in our area, along with, a plethora of other people. I will tell you that I think every morning, not just the 2 that we did call, probably 5 times this year at least, Mr. Freeman and I are on the phone together at 4 a.m. and multiple times. So I do appreciate Mr. Freeman and getting up with me every time, going through all this with me in the morning situations, even if we don't call it. So, all right. With that, I'm going to turn things now over to Mrs. Balsamo, who's going to take us through a little bit of our campus news.
I had to practice beforehand just to make sure. Oh, you're fired already. Okay, first I just wanted to thank our board members for your countless hours of volunteering and the advocacy you do for our community and our schools, so thank you. As you can see from our first slide here, pre-K is growing each and every year, and you can see we have both high schools, 7 elementary schools, 5 outside partners who are in childcares with WRAP program, and then 1 with a half-day program. So we have kind of 3 different avenues that families can choose from. So when you take a quick look at these pictures, what are some words that come to mind? What do you see?
Excitement, joy, smile, focus.
All right, you're really done now.
We'll just keep going on with questions. All right, while Paul's figuring out the mouse.
Heather's going to do her own. All right. So, yes, play, excitement, participation, engagement. So behind the scenes, the in-depth work that you see and you feel from our students is the heavy lift that our teachers do and that we do as a team. So we have created a scope and sequence very clearly aligned to CKLA and are vertically aligned to our kindergarten through 3rd grade, which is part of our grant requirements. And so when you look at the literacy briefs, specifically for pre-K, which we celebrate to be part of those New York State literacy briefs, the science of reading underscores the vital role of pre-K years play in lifelong literacy. And so before I talk about a couple of the categories, the biggest rocks or our largest lift that we like to do from pre-K is to build the background knowledge through play-based experiences for our children, right? Try to have the Velcro by which each story, each read aloud, each experience that they have can be filed away and be ready for retrieve later on. We try to have learner-centered, vocabulary-rich environments and really work hard on their ability to communicate their wants and needs, separate when they're hungry, tired, all of those social emotional pieces, and then begin to problem solve. Whether you are the child that the toy just was removed from, or you are the child who removed the toy from another child, we want all of them to have a voice in that classroom. That's super important. So again, looking at that goal number 1 for our academic program, on the right-hand side there, you see the specific developing the Big Six. And so what it looks like in pre-K. Thank you, Mr. Benz. So examples of collaborative and culminating projects, performances, celebrations. So on the bottom right there, students are reenacting the Three Little Pigs. All of a sudden, you have a child who really has not spoken in 3 months of school. Well, he or she becomes the wolf, and we've got a roar. So those are really cool. The upper right hand, you can see a Macy's Day Parade at State Road. So lots of different unique experiences. Bottom right, we have sequencing of literary events and elements within a text that the teacher read. And then obviously just building those background experiences at the top, building snowmen together and really having those collaborative play experiences, and then coming in and talking about them, writing about them, and verbally communicating about them with our peers. Text-based discussions and writing opportunities, just that belief, we can draw. We are really working hard on those early pre-writing skills. So having anything from a straight line to start to begin to cross the midline, diagonal lines. You can see Cece is tracing her name up there on a vertical surface, which is building her core muscles to be able to begin that writing process. Our little friend in the center there, really using watercolors and paint experiences to formulate a written response eventually. Engagement with a variety of high-interest, diverse, and complex texts. Obviously, Mrs. Aiello is able to read a story that is much higher than a child that's at the pre-K level right now could read to themselves. And so having those authentic experiences, vocabulary experiences, and instruction is critical. And so having as many people, and as Mrs. Hughes shared earlier, a lot of our high school students are coming in and doing read-alouds. I was able to see that today, their precursor lesson with Mrs. Ciro, and they will be doing that on Friday. So we'll have 38 students that will be going in and reading to our pre-Ks at Schrader and Thomas, so that'll be fun. Another critical area, the phonological awareness, phonics, spelling, and word study skill building. As you can see up there, Heggerty Phonological Awareness is one of the resources that we use at pre-K, again, aligned with our CKLA. In the center, there's a little picture there of how your mouth is formed when you are trying to say or make a sound that represents a picture or a letter. And so that explicit instruction is critical in our children learning their sounds and letters. Can you go back? Sorry. And on the left-hand side there, the lower one, Mrs. Hughes, sorry again. One of the experiences that our children are able to have are a lot of music within their pre-K day, but also in the school building. And so this is a group of National Honor Society students who are leading lessons, using instruments. Today, an example of learning how to rhyme or rhythm. Mrs. Hughes actually used rhythm sticks today. And so if you are able to, this is a quote that Mr. Roller and I have in between our two desks that we like to make sure we sing and say all the time. I am not going to sing it. But if you look at the brain research with 0 to 5-year-olds, children who clap on beat master reading faster. Music and language run on the same brain circuits. So rhythm training quietly unlocks, I don't know about quietly, stronger reading skills. And so that is a huge area for us in that rhyming and phonological awareness and phonics instruction. Thanks. So where are we in the school year right now? I am beginning to bridge, as we all are, 2 different school years. So we are continuing to support the 400 who are in our 14 locations while beginning to welcome and transition our pre-K students to kindergarten. That has taken on a little bit more of a role for us, which we've been very excited for. We have the potential of 384 pre-K students transitioning to kindergarten. The registration team, Eric Blask and I have been working on that together. along with all of our parents, to find what their plan is for next year. We're looking at around 500, 520, can change every day. And we are planning visits, our pre-K teachers are planning visits to our kindergarten and elementary buildings if they are not currently there. Most buildings, elementary, have two. We have two buildings that have one classroom. So that means 36 of our pre-K students are already there to transition down the hall to kindergarten. Great place to be. We will then help to facilitate new entrant kindergarten welcoming and screening. So that can look like anywhere from 8 to 20 new entrants per building. And so we'll work together with each staff of each building to be able to do that. It takes much less time because we are doing the new entrant screening that we used to do at kindergarten. We are now doing that at the end of pre-K with our pre-K teachers. So we're grateful for that. And then we'll work with each building team collaboratively as well to complete kindergarten placement together. So if you haven't heard, we have our welcome the class of 2040.
Oh, wow.
So it seems surreal to say that, but yes. So our class, 2026, 2027, we have our official Webster CSD Pre-K Open House. Will be Tuesday, February 10th from 5:45 to 7:15 p.m. We will hold that only at one location on district property. That will be at Webster Schrader High School. It is much easier to get in and out of that building. Thank you, Mr. Benz. It'll also be held with our other 5 locations will also be held that evening as well, so that families have the ability to visit, meet the teacher, the director, the people who are on the ground supporting those classrooms. We will have staff at every location to be able to answer questions. At Schrader, we will have this year families, parents, who will be there in the hallway to answer questions about how scary it is to send your child to a high school at 3 and 4 years old. Not, right? So many of them have been in that position before, so we thought that would be a nice addition this year. Our lottery registration opens February 13th, next Friday, and it will be open for a month. It's not first come, first serve. It is open for a month. And then we will hold our lottery randomization process for school locations. And our hope is that we have reached the sweet spot and we will be able to meet as many community needs as possible as we have.
Great.
Our family orientation and play-based screening for the class of 2040 will be May 13th to the 19th. And we will absolutely be broadcasting to please get out and exercise your right to vote during those days.
Very
Okay.
good.
One more? Yep. Yep. So Becky already touched on a lot of this, so there's our locations again, and the importance of those intergenerational experiences we're able to offer our children, whether they're at an elementary school, in outside childcare, or in one of our high schools. So,
That's great.
thanks. Yep.
Nice. All right.
I get
you.
secondary
Yeah, I know it.
campus snooze.
Yay.
Gotta do my rhythm. Gotta do my rhythm. All right. Our student liaisons, Rebecca and company, already did a nice job of highlighting what we've been doing. The main focus you'll see on here, I think, from the high school level between Thomas Schrader, OWL, and Goal will be the culmination or the summative assessment of the literacy part of English Regents exams. Along with that and the UPK, it's not much different. You'll see a lot of fun as we go through there. So thank you to everyone that has helped us through this tumultuous January and beginning of February with all the weather and our B&G and custodians getting the areas cleared for us. Thank you very much. And as you can see, this is from our high school, all the students who have already passed their junior level ELA Regents. So congratulations to them.
Yeah,
A time to
exciting.
celebrate.
Celebration.
If you weren't aware, this is the first year in a few years that we've had all our juniors take the English Regents exam in January. It might be something that we're going to continue to do in the future years. It really, the junior year is, even though we're kind of shifting a little bit with New York State and the portrait of a graduate, but it kind of alleviates one of the exams that they'll be taking in June. A little bit less pressure, hopefully. with that.
And that exam's a standalone. It's not meant to be something that has to be done at the culmination of their junior year, or any year, really, but.
Correct,
Yeah, great.
yes. It's,
Thanks.
so that's actually a great illustration of UPK all the way up through 11th grade, 10 and a half grade in a way,
Right.
if you take it in January. So,
That's awesome.
and then at Owl Middle, here comes a lot of the fun. I believe that's a squid on the left, as they're looking at it, trying to piece it together a little bit. And then they have a lot of different activities that they're working on, a lot of hands-on kinesthetic learning at the middle level. Here at Schrader, we have our goals up on top. We, for Law and Justice class, they always do a mock trial, and they go to the Webster Town Courts, and we have a judge preside over them, and they actually present their courts as they go through all the litigation pieces. Up top, I believe Rebecca mentioned our wrestlers there. They made it to the semifinals this past Saturday. And then the bottom right there is our senior locket. Oh my gosh. I think I'm recovering still from that, just so you know. When you're my age, the overnighters are a little tougher. So this year, they started right out the gate at going. You can see the bottom right there, I'm sorry. They played basketball for an hour and a half, and they were just drenched in sweat, from 11 till 12:30, and all the different games. It was crazy how they just went at it. It was nice. And the silent disco was a lot of fun, too. And right now, about 43 minutes from now, in the center is Emma. She is in San Francisco at the Pro Bowl, and they will be on ESPN in, like I said, 42 minutes, if I did my math correctly there, and on the football showcase for high school female athletes. She's representing the Buffalo Bills as our representative from Section 5 and 6, upstate New York, there right now. And her coach, Ian Inslee, is also there with her. So it's big news, and looking forward to watching her perform there on the big stage with everybody in the Super Bowl weeks there.
So
So
cool.
pretty cool.
Yep.
At Spry, at the middle schools, they also did some career day, and this is also leading up to the Thomas Titan Day and the Warrior Day also, where they have the 8th graders go 9th grade. Now, what Spry did this year, they did career day right before then. And they had different people from different avenues coming in, kind of help them think about what they want to take in the next 4 years along their path of trades or college or just kind of a job that they were looking into doing. They shifted that, kind of nicely aligned, I thought, to it. Get them talking along with their parents. Thomas, and actually this is what we were talking about too. I think, Brian, you'll love this, is that it's uncanny how a One Webster with the results of the Regents exam, both Schrader and Thomas are really about the same, 95% of
That's
students achieving
wonderful.
Regents credit, which is
great.
amazing. And the same thing, the results were just uncanny.
Yep.
We were just astounded at the equality between the two schools.
That's awesome.
And then that's also the mentioning of both Warrior Day. We kind of combined our two when Glenn and I worked together on this. The Titan Day and night. We do the same exact thing in both schools. It's very in unison. The only difference is that because Willink is a little closer, they walk over typically or to the school. They kind of do it 3 different days in a row with their houses. We just bus them over because of the distance and things going on. But it's a huge hit. And then at night we have the parents come in. And again, it's that community building. It's the One Webster. At the same time, it's talking about where you want to go. It's not just about 9th grade, but it's about where you want to go in a few years. And we know people change their minds all the time, but at least they have the information to be able to change their mind. With that, Willink, again, some of the fun things that we're doing, Descendants the musical, and also the Titanium Titans. I love that name. Competing in Lego robotics. Look at that. That looks phenomenal. So. Always kind of moving forward. Science Olympiad was mentioned earlier tonight. Same sort of thing, Science Olympiad, masterminds, Lego robotics, keeping our students active in their minds as they do. And also at top there, you can see they're doing their fine arts with the Descendants. Goal, again, a couple things. They did celebrate, obviously, the ELA, but at the same time, look at that cheeseburger in the middle. It's a cupcake. Made out of, they did some sculptures, so sculpture from the ingredients that they use miniature cheeseburger, kind of cool. Cupcakes, brownies, and a fondant. I don't even know what that one is, but frosting. But that's pretty creative, working on through, again, team building. And then the bridge for 10th grade, and as they keep moving forward with, and you'll hear about, I think from Mike tonight, on the transition coordinator, meeting with the seniors as they transition out of goal. It was mentioned earlier, we have our musical this week, and we're very excited for it, so hopefully you can attend at some point. One of
Definitely.
the 4 days, 4 shows. So, thank you.
Thank you both very, very much. Actually, that's my last topic as well. You saw the Descendants on there from Willink Middle School. We opened up musical season. So it started last week with Willink at Descendants. Obviously, this coming weekend, it's exciting. We got the On the Town. And then in March, we've got 2. We've got the Footloose that starts out in Thomas, and then Newsies at Spry Middle School. So please come out and enjoy those. We were able to go and see the Descendants, and it was phenomenal.
It was really
Can't
good.
wait for this weekend's On the Town. And I just appreciate the snow removal team as well at Willink in this past week was incredible. We had both Friday night, they were all night working, and they came back for Saturday afternoon and Saturday night because it just kept snowing. So we appreciated the team that was helping out with that to make that available for our kids. So, and the last thing I would say is thank you both for an amazing report, both of you, and even more importantly, thank you for your leadership. So
Thanks.
have a great night.
Yep.
Thanks.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And that's Campus News. All right, now I'm excited to I'll turn things over to Aaron, who will introduce our next group, and I'm really excited about the next instructional report. So Aaron, I'll let you go.
So we do partner with BOCES for a lot of services and supports for our students, but I have to do a little bit of bragging that we have a pretty great in-house group that is also providing some supports for our students. So this is kind of like the dream team representing the bigger dream team that we have, that we offer vocational opportunities for our students that I think some other districts might be really jealous of, I'll be honest. So I'm really excited to introduce Andy Millette, who's going to lead us through our vocational programming here at Webster. Andy.
Aaron. Hi, everybody. Next to me, 2 amazing educators, Ari Hilaris, who's our Director of Student Services, who's in charge of secondary special education, and Mike Ponicello, our District Transition Specialist. And we're just very excited. I'm so excited for you to hear from these guys because we do a lot of great things in Webster, and sometimes people don't know. And good time to showcase that a little bit. So we're hoping that you'll understand a little bit more how our special education classrooms support students. We say life after graduation, life after Webster. A lot of our students, we really anchor into that vocational programming and providing those skills. Hopefully you could see too how our staff collaborate with local businesses. We really strive to build independence and vocational skills throughout everything we do. And again, you'll hear about that. And then some examples of our incredible graduates and how they're working right here in our district and throughout Webster. And a lot of proud moments that we have. They align very closely to the board goals, particularly goal 1 of knowledge and skills throughout educational experience and beyond. And even that and beyond, I think we anchor into a lot. And goal 3 of those educational partnerships that we're very proud of. And again, these guys do a lot to create those partnerships. So vocational programming is such an important piece of our learning, particularly when our students, all years of school, but high school and even after high school, it's so important. And we have a variety of programs, locations, experiences. They're all individualized based on student abilities, interests, goals. And again, Aaron was saying we have some really great programming, so thank you. I agree. But I also think it's the time and care that we put in for all the students. And I hope when you hear Ari and Mike, you'll hear and see that care and that time that they put in. I always, in special ed, we always talk about 12-1-4. 15-1, 12-1-1, like we throw around these numbers. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew what that ratio means is a maximum of 12 students, 1 teacher, and then that last number is the amount of aid or support staff we have. It could be a student aid, teaching assistant, that type of thing. So when we start throwing those numbers around, that'll hopefully make some sense. Ari? All right.
Yeah, so we want to start talking a little bit about our high school opportunities that we have both at Schrader and at Thomas, specifically highlighting some of our opportunities that we do with our special class program. So at Schrader, we have opportunities with our 12-1-1 and 15-1 program. So again, like Andy said, 12 students to a teacher and a teaching assistant, and our 15-1 is 15 students with a special education teacher, as well as Thomas with our 12-1-4 program. So over at Schrader, our 12-1-1 students have the opportunity to cycle through 3 different vocational opportunities within the building. They do so on a semester basis throughout their time at high school. And our 3 opportunities start with food services. So our students get the opportunity to work in the Schrader kitchen. They're doing food prep, learning about personal hygiene, food sanitation, working as a team, coming up with different strategies to prep large food orders. And they actually have opportunities, which you'll see, I think on the next slide, to serve our UPK students at Schrader. So you can see in the pictures here, they are working on making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, chicken fingers, cheeseburgers, things like that. So they get a chance to work in the morning prepping that food, and then when UPK students come in, actually serving them. We also have at Schrader the Ridge Cafe. So that is one of our other rotations that students will do. The goal here is to work on customer service. So students work to prepare food items such as cookies and other baked goods. They prepare coffee. They will greet customers as they come in. They will do cash and cashless transactions. So they get an opportunity to work in a business environment, again, work as a team with their peers, work with the adults who oversee the program, and interface with customers. And we're always looking to work within the student's ability. So we differentiate a lot of these jobs too. So they rotate within jobs, but we're also looking to build on the skills that that student has and are considering their needs as well. The third area, which you'll see a good picture, a good example of this on the bottom of the slide there, is our home services program. So our students work with an experienced tech teacher. They do things like preparing to work with electric lawnmowers. They do snow removal. They will do basic electric and plumbing projects. So essentially how to take care of things in and around their house. So we're really working on life skills. It's an early introduction to some of our trade opportunities these students will have. And again, it's the opportunity to build skills that they will translate hopefully for the rest of their life. At Thomas, as we mentioned, our 12-1-4 program, they work similarly to our Ridge Cafe. We have the Starlight Cafe at Thomas. So very similar, those students are working on a variety of jobs such as preparing baked goods, making and serving coffee, cashless and cash transactions, greeting customers as they come in. Again, customers are their peers in the building or other staff members who come in to say hello. So those students have that opportunity to work every morning. They will spend some time with our vocational coach, learning soft skills, understanding requirements of their specific jobs. And then they actually go and work that Starlight Cafe. So if you're ever in either of those buildings either morning, I encourage you to go check out the Ridge Cafe or the Starlight Cafe. And then as we mentioned, we partner very strongly with BOCES. I think it was nice that we got to speak with them today. They mentioned our small group of students that go to our MOF programs. So MOF stands for Multi-Occupational and Focus. Our multi-occupational program is an AM program, so they run 2 sessions. They're an hour and a half each. And our focus program runs every afternoon for 3 hours. We have a variety of students coming from different special education backgrounds. Our 15-1 program is highly involved in this, but we've also sent students from our 8-1-1 program at Thomas, our OWL program at Thomas, and we have some students from ICT, a variety of other settings within the building who do participate in multi-occupational focus. We currently have students participating in their Buildings and Grounds program, where they get to actually, this year they are working at one of the Fairport BOCES campuses, maintaining the lawn. So they'll do that in early fall and in spring. They will learn how to work with chainsaws, how to safely use all the materials. They'll do woodworking in the winter when it's a little too cold to go outside. We have students in our auto program there. Those students are working on basic collision, basic repair and maintenance of cars. We also have students in family and consumer sciences, so this would be things like basic cooking skills, sewing, very similar to a program we would have in middle school, but a little bit more advanced for our high school students. In food preparation, our students are working on basic kitchen skills, essentially working on a line in cooking. They also have the opportunity they run a small bake shop there, so they get to work with cash and cashless transactions for the staff and peers at BOCES. In digital media and arts, our students there are working on video editing. They get to learn software like Photoshop, and a variety of other software that it's a little above my expertise, but I've had some of my OWL kids in the past go through that, and they've made some pretty incredible videos. And they actually make some connections with PBS and local news stations. We've had students who have gone on to internship there as well. And then finally, Small Animal Care is a program that partners with Lollipop Farm. So students spend 3 days a week at Lollipop Farm actually working hands-on with the animals. And the other 2 days they go to the Foreman Center to work in the classroom to learn some of those skills. So again, we have a variety of students who participate in both multi-occupational and focus, and they have different opportunities to work at their level. I think really the main difference between multi-occ and focus versus EMCC, outside of the differences in the specific programs, is we have the students' needs in mind when we're working, so they're able to differentiate and meet our students where they are for those programs. Turn it over to Mike.
All right. So, work study, what does that mean, right? So now we are moving out of the classroom, right? We want to get ready for our students for what happens after school, into the real world work. So what we decided to do is what we learned in multi-occ and focus, now we're going to bring that out into the workforce. So our 15-1 kids, based on what their interests are, my job is to go out and try to find something in the community that they like to do. So as of, I think this week we have 32 businesses that we have partnered with in the Webster District that our students will go to work with. While the students are there, we're working with the employer and our students on those employability skills. For you to be successful working, what you need to do. We're talking attendance, hygiene, dress code, how to properly interact with your coworkers, your supervisors. If you're gonna call in sick, are you calling sick 4 hours in advance or half an hour in advance? We try to work with the students on all these different skills. So when they do exit, they do have that confidence and they're prepared to get that job. A lot of our students, if you go out in the community, I work with these kids, so I see them at Wegmans, I see them at Harbor Freight, I see them at Target, in Kohl's, in Savers, in Goodwill. I see them out there working, so they started in the 9th grade and they worked all the way up, so you can kind of see the small steps that they've built. So in our 12-on-1 program, same thing is already demonstrated. The students are in the classroom with their instructor. Now we're going to utilize the Webster community for the work. So rather than working in the kitchen with the staff, we're going to work in the kitchen with the kitchen staff. So they're going to be part of that team. So they're going to be working as a team. So all the food prep you see in any kitchen, the middle school and the high school, our students are doing the food prep. They're getting everything ready, working along with the team. We have elementary libraries have been fantastic with us. They're getting those students, they give them like a task, what to do. So they are returning all the books. They are scanning the books in, scanning the students in and out. They're learning how to use the computer system, learn how to save books for students that requested to save. We have the buildings and grounds, which has been tremendous for us. Blaine Cunningham is not here, but Blaine alone has hired 6 of our kids as employees, 6. Our cafeteria staff has hired 1 of our kids. So, and it shows like the hard work that the kids have done, and that the students really take pride in their work, and then the staff is recognized and saying, you know what, this kid can work here. I think we're going to hire them. So that's what we're doing in our 12-1 program. But now, since they're seniors, what happens next? Our 12-1 kids are going to go to, most likely to our Fisher transition program. Right there, it's the next step. We have 2 amazing teachers that are there right now. We have Jen Lambert and Peter Burcham. They are teaching those valuable life skills for you to be independent in the community. what you need to learn. So they're teaching those in the classroom. My job is to find the work studies, and we have connected with the Pittsford YMCA. Anybody ever been to the Pittsford YMCA? Right? They have just opened their doors to us. So they've given us like 4 really nice opportunities there. So we are the greeters. So when the members come in, the first face they see is our students, greeting them, scanning their ID, small conversation. There's a cafe that's right now. So the skills that they learned in our cafe at Schrader and at Thomas, now they're in a bigger cafe. So they're checking, they're doing the food prep, the drinks, running the register, then like a nice little coffee area. They got to keep that filled, cleaned up. So the kids are really working hard. They have our maintenance program. They are in and out, working with the maintenance staff right there, doing the upkeep of the building. And it's a pretty big building. And then we have the child watch program that they have right there. And so when members come in, they want to go work out, they'll have their kids go there for like an hour or so. They've hired 2 of our kids.
Oh, that's great.
So.
That's great. Oh.
And right behind it, these are some of the, I think I forgot like 3 or 4, but that's like 30-some of the work sites that have opened their doors for us. So, and they're just as important. So it's great.
Yeah. That's great. Gosh.
Thank you. Any questions?
It's so amazing. We were so lucky to be able to go to Fisher. Was it last year?
Yeah,
I
last
can't
year.
even remember.
Yeah.
That was incredible. And I think that the most profound part was the students were so proud to show us what their jobs were. They presented that morning to us, and that how hard they worked to get those jobs, and it meant the world to them. So great job, and thank you for all you do for our students.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah. You guys have any good?
We listen to you here, but when we go to the schools, we see it in action. And it's not just delightful, it's enlightening to know what we're doing with students today that maybe 20 years ago, 10 years ago, it just wouldn't even be considered. So it's very hopeful, and I just wish more people knew about and understood what is possible. That's
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of it goes to our staff too. So our staff really opened their doors for working with our kids. So we have amazing staff at Webster.
I know. 100%. Go ahead, Erin.
At work and we talk about performance-based learning, I think this is a group we're going to tap for your expertise, because we're going to need to translate that across our district. So thank you for all the work that you've done.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I think you said it best, Mike. I think the word that comes to mind to me is impressed. I'm so impressed with our kids when we do go to those visits, but equally as impressed with our staff. You guys are amazing, and our staff is just incredible, the work that you guys do. So thank you very much. Great presentation.
Thank you for having us.
You need a motion?
Yep. All right, with that, may I have a motion to approve the instruction report as presented? So moved. Carole, second. Linda, all in favor? Aye. All right, on to board business. The Brian Freeman Show?
Yes.
For a little bit.
Time for Brian.
The room hasn't cleared out yet.
Jody's leaving.
All right, first up is our treasurer's report for the month of November. Not much to point out there compared year over year. Just want to point out one thing. Sales tax receipts is usually a good indicator of economic activity, and it is actually higher for the first quarter compared to last year by a couple $100,000. So I always look at that as an interesting economic indicator, and so we'll see if that carries through for the rest of this fiscal year for the other quarters, because the second quarter for us will also be the holiday season, and that is generally runs higher than previous years. So I think there's a lot of talk about the economics overall of how the state's doing, and that's a fairly good local indicator of that as well. So just wanted to highlight that.
All right, motion to approve the November 2025 Treasurers Report as presented. So moved. Carole, second. Michele, all in favor? Aye.
All right, and I apologize for this getting to the board a little later, realizing when we set up the January timing of it that this didn't end until Friday afternoon. So Ashley, Joe, and myself worked through yesterday cleaning it up a little bit. So our community feedback, this year we had about 178 submissions. I don't know why I said about, it is exactly 178 submissions. It's slightly lower than last year. Quite a mix of community members, staff members, and then those that self-identified as community and staff member. So numbers slightly down, and we were looking at, when we had this conversation at the end of the budget season last year of how we've been doing this and how we can communicate it, we were using thought exchange, and in the conversation, I think it was Mr. Montemero goes, we could do this with what we have already. We don't need to buy this software package anymore. And so we're like, great. All right, let's save the several thousands of dollars and use what we have, Google and Gemini. And so everything else we kept the same, though. Similar questions, same 3 questions as we've had used in the past. Same exact cadence of reminders using Parent Square, getting it on our website. So probably want to dig in. Maybe we'll look a little bit more at why our numbers were down a little bit. Honestly, I think it's because there's just, there's a good feel in the community and the district when it comes to things that are happening. So I think that plays a role in the responses we get. So same 3 questions, top priorities that we're looking at, what we're planning for, what is everybody looking for in the community. And there's really, I think, no surprises, very similar themes to in the past. Academic rigor, comes through. I think the one thing maybe here that is slightly different is the technology balance came through a little bit more. We've had that in the past years, but I think coming with the, the first 6-7 months of the cell phone ban, that maybe the technology piece of it came out a little bit stronger than in years past about that need for balance in the human interaction. I think is a direct correlation. But pretty much everything else there was really no surprises. These are all similar themes that we've gotten from community before. On the behavioral side, really the whole child, holistic education, also common themes that we've heard before to maintain those things. When we talk staffing and facilities, teacher retention, support staff, shortages, those needs come through there. I think that's where we see a little bit more of the staff coming through because they're the ones that experience the staff shortages across the board on a day-to-day basis. But the electric bus debate came through, and I think perhaps because we did have one bus approved last year in comparison to some of the other county districts that did not have it approved, I think that maybe led to a little bit more direct from questions about it that were submitted in previous years to be like, no, we shouldn't do this because of the cost, other concerns, and probably some staff members concerned about the traditional maintenance, a preference for a lot of the programs we just talked about from our friends at BOCES of, mechanic, diesel mechanic, things like those programs that, with an EV bus, it's not there anymore. The turning a wrench is not there, comparatively speaking. So there's a little shift there. And then athletics and extracurriculars are also always there. Nothing new here besides maybe a suggestion that came through a couple times of, merging some sports with low participation. So, that was something to highlight different with athletics this year. But still, strong advocacy for the arts and the vocational training and offering those extracurriculars. And then last one was the fiscal responsibility that was different. There's always, feedback around that, but I think the feedback this year was specific to the pending reassessments and the impact that would have, and keep that in the back of our minds as we make budgetary decisions. The correlation was there between those two. Questions?
Was it less negative than other years? Or is there a way to judge negativity?
Yeah, if you go back when we first started like 5 years ago, there was a lot of specific negativity around certain topics, COVID, masking, things like that have disappeared. So that's also, sitting back, and maybe we're far enough away where a lot of those comments, which maybe drove our numbers higher of participation, have come down to a point where now we're getting to more of true budgetary feedback versus some of those comments.
And also the electric bus, people voted for it, right? I mean,
Yes.
not everybody did.
Barely, but yes.
Yes, 41 votes, passed by 41 votes.
So it's not like that was an opportunity for people to come out strongly for or against.
There'll be another, tonight, another area district is voting on 2. They're having an off-cycle vote, so we'll see how that plays.
And have we paid any money for that bus yet?
No, we haven't gotten it yet.
Okay. Okay.
To me, the numbers are still high, right?
Right.
Because I look at Budget Advisory Committee used to have 10 people that would show up. So
Right.
to me, this is still a good number of people that are still taking the time. And it may be newer people to our district, younger families perhaps. So because going to PTSA meetings, and we did remind them in January to fill out the survey, and many of them knew about it. So that leads me to believe that maybe it's a new group of people starting to pay more attention. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Next up is our look at the tax cap and breaking down the governor's budget proposal and what that looks like and means for us here in the district. So, quick review of the tax levy limit formula. It's not a cap on our taxes. It is a cap on the levy. So 4 major points of calculation, just as a reminder for everybody. The tax-based growth factor, that comes from New York State Tax and Finance. That is changes in the taxable property in the district year over year. It's generally on a lag by a couple years, but that is the change that gets taken in the tax-based growth factor. Pilots, those are the payment in lieu of taxes. That's another calculation point. Generally, it balances out unless there is a change year to year. You will see that there is a change for us going into 26, 27. Then the consumer price index, that is the cap that everybody goes with, because that's the 2% or lower. It's based on inflation. Inflation's currently trending at a little bit above 3.1. It'll probably officially come down once from there to be probably like 2.9 from what I was reading. But inflation has ranged anywhere from, 0.1% to as high as 8%. No matter what it is, if it's above 2, it defaults down to 2. If it's lower than 2, it goes to whatever the number is below 2. That is just one part of the formula. And then the pension exclusions is the other big part of the formula. And the pensions must exceed an increase of 2% for the exclusion to kick in. So we don't have to worry about this year. Neither pension system goes up by more than the 2%. So these will be zeros in our formula. And then the last major point of calculation is the capital exclusions. This is the simplest way to describe this formula is just all of our capital expenses that we budget for minus all the state aid. Whatever is left over gets to be excluded in the formula. So principal and interest on construction and buses, any transfers to capital funds. We don't have energy performance contracts or capital leases. That's why I did not bold them, but those are technically parts of the formula. And then our BOCES expenses for rent and capital, so we get those numbers. We pay 19% of the Monroe One BOCES rent and capital, so we get to exclude those as part of the calculation result. And then the aid, all the building aid, with some exceptions, all the transportation aid for those principal and interest payments on buses, and then our BOCES aid for rent and capital. Those are the two major, really three major aid categories that offset the capital expenditures. So just to highlight where our Monroe County growth factors are, we are in the top 4 this year in comparison to every other district. So if you're above 1, that helps you in your formula, because that means you have some growth, and it's going to add a calculation into the formula. So every year there's usually one outlier that is higher than everybody else. As you can see, Gates Chili wins that award this year. And so there's usually one-off things happening in those districts or towns that create that year over year. So we are in the top 4. And then historically, I wanted to point out is how do we do with this? Because this is the huge part of the formula. This is what makes when you explain to people why is 2% not 2%, it's because of this growth factor. This really changes the formula for school districts. So going back to when I started keeping records here, 2013-14, I wanted to see how have we always fared in this calculation, because when you compare district to district on their tax cap, it's really a lot of apples to oranges because of this calculation. And so we are blue. Webster growth factor is the blue line. The red is our average, so we've always averaged above a 1% growth year over year. Okay? And then the green is the county average. So you could see going back to 13-14, we have always surpassed the county average. So we've always created a higher level of growth factor, which means our cap is going to be higher than a lot of the other districts in the county. Okay. So what does our calculation look like? So everybody see that? I tried to fit it perfectly on our big screen here. So a couple things for 26-27 to just focus on. The orange is our starting point. Now, the orange number is different than what we ended 25-26 with. They'll never match up because what we set as a levy in August is our starting point. And what we set in August is always lower because of those re-levies. So people that fall through the cracks when it comes to tax season and their bill has to be re-levied, we can't tax that twice, so we have to subtract all those out. So the number starts a little smaller in comparison to what this current fiscal year is. So that's the orange. I wanted to highlight that for you. The green part is those pilots in lieu of taxes payments. So right now in 25-26, we estimated $1,250,000. Next year, I'm estimating 1.1. That is coming down mainly due to we were supposed to have a pilot that was going to be on the books by now, and it is not. That construction has kind of been delayed and stopped. So to kind of make sure this number is accurate, that number is coming down. We're projecting more pilots than we actually have, and so we have to make that adjustment. So that's one adjustment into the formula. Those aren't the same, so it has a little impact on our formula. Then in the blue, you see that's just the capital exclusions from year to year. And then our yellow is what we're projecting for 26-27. It's higher, but you'll see that comes with an offset of more building aid that I'll be projecting that you could see on the capital exclusion page. So overall, we're about the same as last year, a 3.39% increase to get to our cap, with the largest increase coming from that growth factor adding into it, plus automatically defaulting to 2%. So 2%, slightly above 1, gets us to, add them together, we're at 3.39%. Is one of the easiest ways to explain it. I've put together all the backup for these numbers for you too on the capital exclusions. you could, walk it from the slides showing, and I've just kind of tried to match the slides to the numbers to make it as easy for everybody to see where the numbers come from and where the formula comes from. This needs to be submitted to the comptroller by the end of February, by March 1st. So barring any unforeseen changes, which I don't imagine anything's going to change, this will be the number we submit to the comptroller, the number we'll go with, and the number that will get locked into place for next year. Questions on the tax cap? All right. Well, let's keep going and talk state aid now. So in the state budget, there is an extra $779 million statewide for foundation aid this year. What were some of the changes? We always talked about the Rockefeller Institute recommendations. There are no further updates in the budget right now from the governor based on that report, so no changes. There is a 1% minimum increase for all districts. So that is the bottom floor for all districts. I think the number is close to 70% of districts in New York State are getting 1%. So any other changes in the formula, which I'll show you in a couple slides, are based on enrollment and other data points changing. So those are the two things coming into play. There are no structural changes to the formula from the Rockefeller report. So it's just what a district's reporting on enrollment and everything else. And then our expense-based aids like BOCES aid, transportation, those are all fully funded, no changes to the formula. So looking at where we are in the county for foundation aid for 26-27, we're top 3 in the overall dollar increase, okay? The highest dollar increase was Rush Henrietta, got $3.4 million, and also the highest percent increase at 7.35. So the red line is the percent, the blue bars are the dollar. I highlighted Webster with yellow, so you can see where 1% is, kind of that districts with the red line that's kind of flat are generally the 1%, and then there's some fluctuations with the rate increases and dollar increase. We'll say that just because you got a large dollar increase doesn't mean you got more than the minimum. So if you were a district that got a lot of foundation aid and you got a minimum 1%, that could be a pretty big number comparative to a smaller district getting 6% as a mathematical example. So these are the numbers of where we break down. I'd like you to pay attention to the top 2 as we move on to the next slide. Friends in Rush, Henrietta, and Penfield. So county average was less than $1,820,000. Average percent increase was still 2.45 for the county overall. Now, why does everything change? What are the driving factors? So blue is what you can imagine to simplify it is our student counts. So the state calls it TAFPU, Total Aidable Foundation Pupil Units. We're just going to call them kids. So that is the blue bar, and I turned Penfield and Rush Henrietta green because you can see they had pretty large student increases. So what equates to greater foundation aid? Student enrollment changes going up. The orange bar is the next thing, and that is pupil needs index. So think about that as the old high free and reduced rates. That's what changed last year to the SAPE number that everybody heard about, the small area income poverty numbers. So actually, our year over year, we had the highest percent increase in poverty measures. So our pupil needs index went up. So our enrollment, for the lack of better, it stayed flat, a small increase. That's not really driving why we're at 2.98%. It's really because our poverty measures increased. So our foundation aid is up because of that. So each student that's in the foundation aid formula when that measurement changes, our foundation aid amount per student changes. So we have, districts that have had some increases, but their poverty rate stayed relatively flat, so they didn't get any more foundation aid because that's how the formula interplays together. So you can see that there is a correlation to large student increases, meaning you get more foundation aid. So that is what the formula is supposed to do. If you have more students, you're going to get more foundation aid. You have less students, you're going to get less foundation aid. So I wanted to point that out of why, if you go back to where do these numbers come from? Why is this happening? Here's the 2 reasons why. Questions on that? Alrighty. So some other state budget proposal changes that will impact us, UPK changes. Aid per pupil moves to $10,000 per kid. We are currently at $5,400 as our base funding. No cap on the number of kids in the program. This one, I think, kind of slid through, and now people are starting to pick up on it, that beginning in 28, 29, all slots must be full day. So Ms. Balsamo mentioned earlier that we do have a half-day program, but that beginning in 28, 29 right now would no longer be allowed. It would have to be converted to a full-day program. It's still a grant application process, but it takes 2 current grant programs and combines them into one. So 2 paperwork process into one for us now. So that is a benefit. Here's the other kind of change. The state aid shows as total funding based on our student counts. Before, it was just a total allocation. And for most of the time, we take all of our kids, multiply it by 5,400, we get nowhere near what the state shows as our total allocation. Because our total allocation was for about 120 kids more than what we have actually that are even go into the lottery. We don't have a wait list. So we have everybody that has come into UPK. We have them all. So we couldn't go get another 120 to go get that full funding. So now it's based on enrollment. So that number that they actually showed ties directly to the kids we've reported. So that is a very interesting and unique change because that number now will change. There's no longer a maximum funding amount. I know you guys have heard me talk about, we got to wait for the November database or the February database or the May database. Well, those are all points where we have submitted enrollment numbers and those change our formulas. This will be the same. So that number isn't set as this is the most you're going to get. Based on sometime during next year, that could fluctuate if, we get a couple kids move in, we're universal pre-K. Now we got 5 more kids in the program because we have the room for them. So those 5 kids get added now, and so our number that looks like 3.15 is now 3.65. So it's a different math formula, which is very shocking that the state's doing this, but it's beneficial. Right now, it's the governor's proposal, and I think it would be very unlikely that the legislature will reverse a proposal that everybody has been for. They might maybe nibble around the edges on some of these kind of rules. Like maybe they'll be like, oh no, we want to keep half day because families want that. So maybe something like that won't make it. But I think the 10,000 and the consolidation is going to make it.
Yeah, this is exciting because this is what the governor actually came there a couple weeks ago and made the presentation at the Y down the road here at the east side, Eastview, or what is it, the East Y? East Side Y.
East Side Y, yeah.
And this is her baby. I think this is something that the legislators also know how much it means to her, and I think they support that too. So we're excited about this.
Yeah, this is very beneficial for us on the financing side.
Do you think with it we'll have more off-campus daycares wanting to do
UPK?
Well, I think it's more attractive because, you know, the angst that we always heard about was our YMCA's get $5,400, but the Y in Rush Henrietta or the Y in Pittsburgh, the Y in Greece get, you know, a different number. And, you know, they work for the Y, they talk, they're like, well, Webster should give you more. It's like, well, we can't because we're locked into the state number. So it takes that away. And, you know, so it should open up maybe some of those conversations to be more agreeable, so.
That's good for us.
Mm-hmm. A couple things that weren't included, I know, because many of us attend Monroe County School Board's functions and get the notifications from New York State school boards on things that they advocate for. So these are just some of the things that I wanted to point out. The funding for prior year aid claims, there is no funding for that. Right now, the New York State owes us about $800,000 in back aid payments. So there was, prior to about 3 years ago, every year they would set aside funding, and, you know, randomly we get a check notification from the state saying, oh, congratulations, we're paying you the $50,000 we owe you from 1993. Great, thank you. And then they keep going down the list every year as more districts come onto it. So right now they're not taking anybody off the list because they're not funding those. So just something that comes up that people advocate for. No zero emission bus implementation changes were proposed, even though we're hearing that there was going to be something. The capital outlay increase from $100,000 to $250,000. Hopefully that comes back around with the legislature. And then something on the technical side, purchasing through piggybacking on other bids. That was not included because that's set to expire. So if another district does a bid, we can hop on it because we're piggybacking off of it. We don't have to duplicate that bid and do it ourselves. So that was not included. Hopeful that will somehow make it in. So our governor's numbers, just going to run them through real quick, what she released. So there is our foundation aid number that is locked in, been verified. Everything in blue is subject to change. That's why I have highlighted it. You know, high cost, excess, private, all those numbers, and I'll explain on the next slide, are going to change before the end of this budget cycle. And the reason why is this. So excess cost aids, they're based on projected student counts as a snapshot in time. These aren't finalized until midway through 26-27. So as we go through this budget, we kind of have to project what our 26-27 numbers are going to be. Those numbers can waver even through all of 26-27. So our spring release with the legislator is a little bit more accurate because we don't have, it's not finalized until actually the end of December to see where you're going to be. Our aid ratios did go down slightly as well because we are looking more wealthy. And we'll have a little bit more on that on our first workshop. BOCES aid, like I said, this is based on fall projections. Governor's projection is always high. Our aid ratio did go down as well. I think actually we're going to, based on what we budgeted for 25-26, that BOCES salary cap, I don't remember if we discussed that last year, was a big part of the budget. Right now, the BOCES salaries are capped at $30,000. Well, it's changing to $40,000. So every salary, we're going to get $10,000 more towards aid. So we will have an increase in aid next year. We're working with BOCES right now because this is a very hard calculation for BOCES because it's broken down by every single COSER that they offer and based on how many people are in it. So it's taking them a while to calculate a projection for us of what that would do. We do know it'll be an increase in aid for us compared to 25-26. So that number will change. That'll be helpful. Building aid, you know, her number is based on fall projections, so that's an October 15th. But we don't have to complete project reports till December 31st of 2026 and June 30th of 2027 to be able to get all of our 26-27 aid. So we're looking at a full 18 months still of reporting that will change our 26-27 aid. So that number will change. So her number is way lower than what we're going to finish with. And then on transportation aid, like that's also very similar to BOCES aid. We'll have much more accurate expenses in the coming months. Right now, it's probably going to be about the same because our aid ratio went down and our expenses for transportation are roughly the same. So probably going to be the same. A slight tick up in expenses will offset the aid ratio going down. But it's February 3rd, so we're still, only 7 months into our expenditure year. Got a ways to go on that as well. Questions on our early state runs?
Thank you. Yeah. Nice job, Brad. Appreciate that.
Let me keep churning it out.
Move
We need
right
to-
into the construction.
You need to vote for that or not?
No, this is
That
all
was information, okay.
Yeah. So fall construction report, just for your information, I try to put as many fun pictures in there and give you a brief summary of what happened in the fall. A lot of the owl edition at Willink. We'll keep doing these quarterly to keep everybody abreast of what's going on. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Looks good. Thank you.
All right, now stuff that needs votes. So first one up is what we talked about at the workshop, the property loss resolution. Happy to answer any additional questions. We're going through our insurance renewal right now, so it's very timely. This would be extremely helpful long-term for the district financially to be able to say to any of the insurance carriers, say, hey, our deductibles, doesn't matter, we got them covered, so drop our rates. To have that financial flexibility when negotiating those prices is very advantageous for us moving into the future.
Any questions?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Came up with them, yeah.
All right. Motion to approve the loss prevention resolution. So moved. Carole, second. Linda, all in favor? Aye.
All right, now it's Heather's favorite
This is the roll
part.
call,
These are
yeah.
roll call votes. First up, our transportation proposition for next year. Took the feedback from our community members, and we're not purchasing an EV bus this go around because we have no place to plug it in. So slightly lower than last year, but what you're seeing with the buses we're purchasing is some greater flexibility. 2 wheelchair capacity buses to help us service those students. And also a couple minibuses with a built-in restraint system for students who face those challenges as well, comparative to having something that isn't fixed to the bus and has to be brought in and out. So this is actually going to be built in. So trying something a little bit different there that Transportation Department thought would be very beneficial for programming purposes. This is all still aidable, and it is budget neutral for us moving forward, since it is roughly the same proposition as last year.
Awesome. Questions? Are we good? Take it away, Heather. Oh, yeah. Motion to approve the transportation propositions. I'm so moved. So moved. Linda, second. Michele. Now we roll call. Thank you, sorry.
Janice? Janice?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Carole?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Maria? Not Maria. Michele. Michele? See where I get.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the capital reserve. So I just want to start this discussion with a very large number, $323,711,562. Anybody know what that number represents?
Construction projects are, I'm trying to think of the number of years. It's construction projects, but it's got to be what, for the last 10 years? 12?
So it is the total dollar value from the last building condition survey we did.
Oh, okay.
So if you add up the expected cost of everything we did in 2022, which we're due up for next year, of the total cost of work to our buildings. And so I thought I'd start with that because that's a lot of work for our 14 different facilities. And so coming off of our capital reserve from 10 years ago at 15 million, when you look at that, that is an allocation of probably $1.3 million per building, if you want to, in just those terms. So I think a review of where we were with our reserves for the capital was we're well short of what a lot of other districts were doing in the county. So well short of the median. So this reserve does a few things for us. It saves us for non-aidable items. So things that the district wants to do, and I'm, beyond everybody sitting at this table. This is, we're all retired and not where snow is. Like, you want to do, I'll use a perfect example, a brand new auditorium, fine arts performing center at one of the high schools, or off-site, maybe somebody donates land. That is off-site, it's definitely not aidable. But at Trader, it's not going to generate as much aid. A large portion of it is going to be non-aidable because they're going to look at how many kids are in the building and they'll be like, oh, you can renovate what you're doing now. But anything beyond a simple renovation, we're not going to give you building aid for. But maybe that's not the community feedback that we want. So we could have money in this reserve to say, all right, after 5 years, we've saved a few dollars, we can offset what the state's not going to cover there. So those are the scenarios that could pop up into the future that this reserve gives tremendous flexibility to have those conversations with. 2, helps eliminate the local share. So even, we showed the building aid ratio is 73%. So even if the state says, yep, we're going to give you this project, everything is good to go, they're only giving us 73%. So this could, reserve is there for the 27%. Like similar to what we just did with the 10 million reserve in the $85 million project. So it helps take care of that. It alleviates the need for borrowing because if you have that money there, we haven't borrowed for Willink. We're just using the reserve money that's sitting there to pay for it as it goes. So it helps delay those borrowing costs because anytime you borrow, who's going to make money? It's all the attorneys writing the propositions and the fiscal advisors because you got to do it all the time and send it out and make sure you're checking the IRS boxes. And so there's costs associated with that. So this helps do that. And so the last one is, this is really, since it's voter approved, it's the preferred reserve of our auditors. The first thing we have, this is where this conversation started, because when we have those questions with our auditors, when they're out here in May, they're like, let's take a look at your capital reserve. That's the best place to put any extra funding you might have. Well, ours is capped, so it brought us to this conversation. The New York State Comptroller also says the exact same thing. They have no problem with districts putting money aside for facilities projects like this because they are voter approved. It's the one where they can't ding a district on because it has a limit, it's set, and they can't say it's overfunded because this is what is set by the voters. So just pointing those kind of things of what this could do for us into the future is something that I wanted to take a serious look at.
Appreciate it.
So just to be clear, we're voting for this to be put on the ballot in May.
Correct.
For the voters to approve, okay.
Correct.
Yep. Just so we're all clear, okay.
And the last time we did this was May of 2016.
Okay. Yep.
So
All right,
they
this will
go
be
every
a-
10 years.
This will be a roll call eventually too. So motion to approve the capital reserve proposition. So moved. Carole, second. Linda. Heather, take it away.
Janice?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Carole?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Michele?
Yes.
Thank you.
I just want to say, we went over this in a workshop.
Yeah, we
So-
And we will have more
Yeah,
information.
we-
Correct.
we
Oh,
are-
yeah, there'll be a
It's
lot,
just
yes.
like more
Yes,
fully
yeah.
informed than it might appear.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I want to get you going for the calendar, right?
So really quick on the calendar, just to make sure that it's a point of information, this calendar does propose that we begin
with teachers and administrative staff and staff actually on the Monday before Labor Day. And Monday, Tuesday would be Superintendent's Conference Day. And for students, they would start on the Wednesday before Labor Day and come Wednesday, Thursday. And then we would actually have a long weekend of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of Labor Day off. And we'd come back on Tuesday. This has gone through a bunch of different iterations of this, but this is our first read. It does give us off a day before Thanksgiving, starting our vacation would start on the Wednesday, and the winter break would also start on that Wednesday. So a lot of people had input on this. This is what we did 6 years ago. And we're working with our teachers associations and our administrative associations to make sure that this is done right, if you will. So this is just the first read, and it's contractual. Yep, et cetera, et cetera. So, questions? Okay.
Motion to approve the first reading of the 26-27 school calendar and move it forward for a second reading at the next regular business meeting. So moved. Linda, second. Michele, all in favor? Aye. Okay. I know Brian's got to get out of here, so if anyone has any quick board member highlights?
I plan to see the play at Schrader on
Yes.
Thursday. Yeah, and I saw the Willing Play Descendants, and I just want to say one thing. As a person who's worked with students in plays, they had at least 100 students involved in this play, which is so remarkable for that age group. And there was such precision, and I'm impressed with just the play, but also the fact that they worked with so many students, and that's challenge. Yeah.
Anybody else?
The only other thing we had an opportunity today to go to the Big Littles breakfast this morning at Clem South. It's high school students meeting with elementary students. They meet once a month at Clem South and at Clem North. It was awesome. It's so great to see the kids together, and they were actually saying that all of the littles never miss the day because they're so excited to be with their big, and they do activities together, and they have icebreakers, and they did a craft project. So it was really great, and I thank the staff at Clem South for inviting us today. It was great. So yeah.
The only other thing is we had a great visit to Webster Schrader. So we had a great tour again. Really amazed at what our students are doing, and thank to Dr. Benz for hosting us. So a great visit.
That's great. All right, and then just a follow-up from last month's meeting. I just want to assure everyone that the Webster Central School District Board of Education has examined the concept of a veterans tax exemption as per the request from our local and area veterans. We reported to the community that we would study the issue during the summer of 2025, and we did. At our August 19th, 2025 Board of Education meeting, we reported to the community that we had discussed the veterans tax exemption at our summer retreat and agreed to table any decisions or further discussion until such time that the Town of Webster's reevaluation process was complete. This will allow the board and the community to understand the new and upcoming town property assessments from the town reevaluation before any decisions are made. The reevaluation is scheduled to be completed by the summer of 2027, which is when the board will revisit this discussion. We appreciate the inquiries we have received, and we are grateful to all of those that have served our country and our community.
Yeah.
Okay. That brings us to consent agenda. Are there any questions on tonight's consent agenda? All right, with that, can I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda? So moved, Linda, second, Carole. All in favor? Aye. Which brings us to our final piece, which is our visitor speaking time. So I just want to go over a couple quick reminders. You have up to 4 minutes to speak. We use the green, yellow, red light system. So green is go, yellow means you have 1 minute, red flashing means your time is up. And just a reminder, this is a time for the board to listen. It's not to engage in dialogue. If you ask questions, they will not be answered. And we also, as a friendly reminder, do have students present, so always keep that in mind when you're speaking.
got to start somewhere, right? Okay. So, good evening. Wrong glasses, too, so batting over 2. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me tonight. Instead of quietly complaining about my increase every year in my school tax bill, I thought I'd try to make a different approach this year. Complaining about something doesn't actually fix or solve anything, I have found. Instead, perhaps I thought I might offer a solution to that problem. After all, it is what I do for a living. For the last 20 years, I've worked with large corporations, small businesses, and state governments to help them find ways of reducing waste, improving efficiencies, increasing quality, and improving overall capacity through Lean Six Sigma. I would like to offer you these services free of charge to help you and find ways of reducing school spend. I think we have fallen into a pattern of just accepting an ever-increasing school budget and passing that spend along to taxpayers. At some point, we all must take a step back and look back at what we've become, like a frog in a pot who doesn't realize they're being slowly cooked to death because the water temp is slowly rising. So too have we been slowly getting worse without realizing it. Maybe we have to change our mindset and question what we have become. After all, just because we can doesn't mean we should. I think our schools have lost track with reality a little bit. We spend thousands of dollars on things that have no effect on children's education, not because we should, but because we can. Imagine if you could find ways to cut spending and not hurt your graduation rates or your students' ability to learn. Imagine if we found changes that would have a positive effect on the environment as well. You might say it can't be done, when in fact it's quite simple. I'll give you a simple one tonight that you can implement very easily. Something that our schools spend money on each year that results in landfill waste and doesn't help students graduate. I'm talking about the graduation lawn signs we spend money on each year. Parents put them up for a couple of weeks, and then they go right in the garbage bin at the end of the driveway. These signs serve no educational purpose. They're nothing but pure vanity. I would find it hard for anyone who would imagine or could argue otherwise, unless you perhaps think a preschooler might see that sign and might become motivation necessary for them to graduate in 12 years' time. We spend money on these signs because we can, not because we should. If you feel these signs are still essential, then perhaps we make a slight change and remove the year off the sign so that they can be used year over year. Just simple changes that can have effect on spend with little to no effort and no detriment, the ultimate goal of the education of the students. Even on the outside of school, I can see things that are a pure waste of money. Imagine what we could do if we looked at what happens on the inside of the schools in the day-to-day operations. Every great journey begins with a single step. Let's start our cost-saving journey tonight with a simple change and build from there. I look forward to working with you and the schools in the future, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that is it for tonight, correct, Heather? All righty, with that, may I have a motion to adjourn? Carol, second. Linda, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, have a good night.
Thanks. Have a great night.